I remember this story. I think I was attending a boys and girls club. And for those of you that don't know, I think it's a nationwide thing. The Boys and Girls Club is a local community center type organization. It's almost like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, except there's no badges and there's no real practical skills that you get. I remember vividly that the Boys and Girls Club introduced me to the video game Sim City. Up until till that point, I believe I had only played console games, I want to say, and maybe some simple games on the computer. Minesweep. But this was a game, chess and other, but this was a game that introduced me to something so fascinating, where it was an unending gameplay, where the object of the game was to build a system, a machine that in all other contexts is useless. It's like a useless machine, almost what you're building inside of SimCity. It's a beautiful, useless machine because the city isn't a real city. It doesn't add, but in its simulation, if there's any productive value that's going to come out of it, it's going to be learning something. That's a bit weird. So the Boys and Girls Club introduced me to the video game SimCity. And so what the Boys and Girls Club was, at the age that I was, it was a summer camp alternative. I love how many tangents this can go on. Parents need to find things for their kids to do all the time, whether that be on the weekend, whether that be after school, whether that be during the summer. It's the constant struggle of being someone who has kids. There's really two kinds of people in this world. Like, how that phrase is used? I think the way I'm going to use it is actually the most objectively true way that it can ever, the truest way that it could ever be used. There's two kinds of people in this world. People who have children and people who don't have children. Now, one isn't better than the other or anything, but it's definitely different. I would say it's definitely different. I I know it's so different, which is why I have chosen not to have children up until this point. Up as of this recording. But because of that understanding of those two kinds of people. And it's a very honest view of the situation, because I would like someone to argue against that. The points I make on the Rick Troutner show are points that, no matter how you view them, are interesting points to have to argue against. Argue against the fact that whether you have children or you don't have children, you're not a completely different kind of person. Even if you're the same person, you're a different kind of person. So having children doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you all of a sudden do better things or worse things. It just, you're the same kind of person, but now that same kind of person that you were is going to be pushed. Is going to be pushed whether you like it or not. A baby is the best coach in life. And I mean, not all parents are good students. Let's just say that. Some are better students, some aren't as good of students. And so, but it does immediately enroll you into being another kind of person. You're immediately enrolled. You know how for some schools you gotta sign up, you gotta enroll yourself into the program. Well, that's a program that you've enrolled yourself into, and that's the great thing about it. It never happens by accident. No people become people with children by accident. They maybe come to it by, they may come to it by force, but no one gets to it by like, oops. I would like someone to argue against that point. Has anybody ever accidentally become, well, maybe not accidentally isn't the right word, but it's not indirectly, it's not accidentally, inadvertently, unexpectedly, unexpectedly. The only way you can unexpectedly go from someone who doesn't have children to someone who has children is by having some kind of amnesia or memory, serious memory loss. But any other way, inadvertently, unexpectedly, accidentally, forcefully, consensually, is hopefully how everyone is going into it. But it's not accidental. It's not, without your knowledge. Maybe it is. That's an interesting movie. That's an interesting story. All the ways that it could happen, that you can become a person that goes from a person with no children to a person with children without your knowledge at all. Without, it was just you have no idea how it happened, and your memory is working completely fine, and then all of a sudden you just wake up someday, and you completely honest, you take the lie detector test, is like, are you sure? Did you not have relations with that person? And I mean, it's like, I didn't. I don't understand. Because then everybody can, is always coming out. There's a whole meme for this, ladies and gentlemen. There's a whole industry. There's a whole cottage industry of people who deny the fact that they were a person that went from being a person without children, or being a person with children maybe already, and then a person with an additional child that it was unexpected. They were not expecting that to be the case, and they were denying that it was the case. But I don't know how many of them, is that like a little hair? I saw that on my face. But I don't know how many of them deny it honestly. And what I'm talking about is, as we all know, we can cut all the innuendo. because we know exactly what I'm talking about. And this illustrates it best. So, you are not the father. And look, this meme is on the rise. Trend review. Welcome to Trend Review. Hello and welcome to Trend Review, everyone. And the trend we are reviewing today is the "You are not the father" trend. Spicy. This is where people are denying the allegation that they went from being a person with either no children. Now, they may have already crossed that boundary, but it's one of those things that it's not like, okay, you cross the boundary. Every time a new child gets added onto it, there's a new boundary that you have to cross. You know what I mean? And look at the increase of the meme. The meme. Invest in the meme now, folks. It's to the moon. The meme, "You are not," the search term "You are not the father" is going to the moon. To the moon. Look at this woman's low resolution face. So let's go look at some of the classics. Some of the classics of "You Are Not the Father." And one of the prime brands, one of the prime providers of this kind of quality content and it really is quality content, because we're talking about one of the fundamental things in life. Because I think like I said, you can always argue against the statement that in the turn of phrase, there's two kinds of people in this world: people who have no children and people who have children. I don't think a truer version of, it's usually used very tongue-in-cheek. Oh, there's two kind of people in this world: people who use silver microphones and people who use black microphones. That wouldn't be the case. You know what I mean? Because you're saying, oh, there's only two kinds of people in this world, aka this is the only distinction of category of people that matter, and nothing else matters. So my argument would be that one of the major differences, and it's a difference that is available to nearly everyone at some point in their life. You know what I mean? Nearly everyone. Yeah, obviously there's problems. Not everyone can conceive or be able to reproduce. I understand that's an issue, but nearly you could still become a person, even if they're not biologically yours, obviously, if you become, but the biological way is definitely, that's where this is all coming in. Like, every time they're talking about the biology here. They're not talking about, who legally, they're saying who's legally the parent of the child based on the biology, not on who's on the document. That would be a different show. You are not the father, and then they reveal who signed the legal document. No, apparently what they're doing now, whether it's real or not, is definitely up for debate. But what they're alleging is that they're doing a biological test to be able to identify if someone is the biological parent to the child. And then, I don't know what, there's no follow-up to "You Are Not the Father." There's just, it just keeps going. So let's go through one of these. And I love how we're getting into this. So this is one of the great classic memes, and I love. Now let's preface this. If we're gonna get into this, let's go into this full hog. So everybody, there's meme review. There's a whole industry of YouTubers that react to that channel, the Cut channel, where they're doing all these kind of crazy social experiments. So before there was the Cut channel, before there was, the Weird Chef channel where there was like all this infighting, and it was like, oh, we're the Happy Chef channel. Before there was like, oh, hey, 5 guys, 5 girls, they're going to raid each other and they're going to do all these things. Before there was all of that, before even there was YouTube, there was fucking Maury. And Maury, I mean, and it really all falls under the umbrella of just daytime TV. And I don't know at what point it was decided that it's like, okay. So, television programming traditionally, classically, hasn't been around that long, but television programming traditionally isn't, where you're going to get the most nuanced kind of information, unless you're watching like the public broadcasting or it's some kind of scientific, you're not going to get the most nuanced knowledge. But what you are going to get is, now it depends on how you look at it, because if you actually look at it from another point of view, Maury may have actually been doing some of the most in-depth social experiment that's ever been done, in that space ever. But what would make Maury interesting in all these kind of daytime shows where it's like people probably had good ideas in the room, but it's like, you don't understand, this is daytime TV. We need to go for the bottom of the barrel. We don't even want to aim for the middle of the barrel or something, some of the stuff, the wheat, the chaff, or some of the stuff that bubbles to the top. We want to be scraping the crud off the bottom of the barrel. But I think that there could be a counter argument that this, as a sociological study in human behavior, but I don't even know how to say that, because how can you explain this?
Ready for action, living in the bud, we never relax, and outcast.
Alright, so that's definitely going to get, hopefully, so there's some music there. I don't know how much of it I can play, but how do you explain that? How do you explain that as far, look at this man's face. So here's the sociological experiment. Hypothesis. When one person, oh man, I love the subtitle. I mean, this is peak TV. This is peak civilization right here. This right here, just everything in this image and nothing. I have no idea who this person is. This could be an actor. I don't know. This this could be a decorated actor. This guy could be in the latest Marvel movie today, for all that I know. So I have no idea who this is. But just as the image, just as the character, just as some of the character traits. Well, number one, this man has far better taste in hair and a far better hairstyle than I do. I mean, I envy that. I want this thing right here. I don't know what it's called, but I've never been to a barber that has ever, because I am not a well-traveled or seasoned man. I am not a man of such class. I am not a man of any kind of class, really. You know what I mean? So, I am right here under the crud of the barrel is me, just looking, just peeking up from the bottom, looking back up. Hello. So wait, always remember that when I'm making these critiques. So I have no idea what these, and this woman, she may be in the Joe Biden White House right now, for all I know. You know what I mean? And then on her resume is like, yep, I was on episode, 38 or season 38, episode 45 of Maury in the 10,300 segment of You Are Not the Father. on Maury, years 1997 to 2300, because Maury will outlive everyone, because Maury has made. Now, when I say Maury, I mean the actual host, the actual human being who. See, Maury is a whole brand. Like, there's Maury, which is probably like Maury LLC, Maury Povich broadcast television, and then there's Maury Povich that actually is the human being. And this man, he either one of two things happened to this man. He either died inside, and what you're seeing is the soulless, lifeless corpse of a man that just couldn't care less, just has no, or you're seeing the corpse, the body of a very wealthy man who has embraced the better parts of America. And this is what I mean. Look at this guy. How many of these has he read off? Look at this. It's from the DDC, the DNA Diagnostic Center. Hopefully he owns that, and hopefully they sell actual diagnostic things, and he makes like Maury Povich is heavily invested in DNA in 23andMe. I would be great if Maury Povich should be the new spokesperson for 23andMe and all those DNA services. He comes out, he's like, "Hi, I'm Maury Povich. I've had decades of experience of reading DNA tests and doing DNA related studies. I have personally seen the DNA sequence. Every time that you saw me on one of these episodes of Maury, I was reading in depth the DNA sequencing of all of these human beings. I am not actually a human being. I am a alien creature that has been spying on the DNA sequencing of all kinds of human beings." Because if you think, oh, Maury Povich, it seems like it's maybe it's a little, centered to a particular kind of individual. But don't worry, because there's You Are Not the Father, You Are Not the Father, white people, white version. So if you were worried about that, oh, maybe some people are being represented in You Are Not the Father, well, let me just assure you, You Are Not the Father brand does not discriminate. Just like McDonald's, just like Coca-Cola, just like Nike, the You Are Not the Father brand does not care where you're from. Now, if you're thinking, oh, is it just along white, black lines? No, we got the Mexican version. You know what I mean? We got the Mexican people version. You think, oh, let's see, do we have the Asian people? People all across the world. The babies. So maybe some. Oh, whoa. We don't want to get too somber in the show, but there's definitely, we got white, black, Mexican, Hispanic. Do they just have Hispanic? You Are Not the Father Hispanic edition. Hispanic edition. Hispanic people version. So you know what I mean? All creeds, all races, all types can all participate in because it's a universal thing. Because it really is the most universal of universal things. I think it might be your baby, dude. I love whoever produced this. I love this. I mean, just listen, 7 seconds. Like, before there was Mr. Beast, hey guys, in this channel, I'm going to be chugging 100,000 gallons of milk, and whoever can chug 10 gallons of milk the fastest will win $100,000. Before there was all that fucking nonsense, there was You Are Not the Father Hispanic people version. And I mean, like I said, I would disclaimer, none of these people are real. None of these are real people. So let's not, these are all, like I said, this man runs a fintech firm out in San Francisco, and he's just about to relocate to Miami because of COVID. So
I'm here today because I don't believe
he doesn't even talk like that. He's like, what kind of accent should I use?
I'm here today because I don't believe Susana is my baby. I think my
I love the music.
girlfriend N.A.
I haven't made a child in 21 years. That can't be my baby. That is a ludicrous statement. I haven't made a child. Like, the factory's been closed down in 21 years. Who's claiming that?
is playing me because she's a liar and
Because she's a liar.
a cheater. My own mother told
Brilliant. They got the jeers. Oh, boo. And I mean, unless the people in the audience are being paid to be in the audience, I mean, no. I mean, I could see it. I would have liked to have been in the audience. But to actually have been a fan of this show, like, if you're a fan, like, imagine being a fan of Maury to the point that you buy the t-shirt and you show up and you've been to multiple shows and you just can't wait. It's like your favorite thing. That is a special kind of sickness. That is a special kind of sickness, because this show is a sociological experiment, and Maury Povich is not only wealthy and a genius and the leading pioneer in DNA technology. And if it wasn't for Maury Povich, DNA technology probably wouldn't be where it is today. So we should have a Maury Povich Day. Right after MLK Day, the day after MLK Day, it should be Maury Povich Day.
she saw N.A. sneaking around with another man. She wants me to leave N.A.
Yes, that's right.
The day after Christmas should be Maury Povich Day.
She's very sneaky. N.A. is a liar and a cheater. Big mentirosa.
N.A.
Of course, she had to throw in some Spanish there at the end. I mean, that's
was still
Hispanic people version. If she didn't throw in a little "que mentirosa" at the
living
end.
with her ex when we started dating.
I love how she hasn't said anything. She's just looking. I love the stares. I imagine them producing this. I want to see the behind the scenes of this. Of someone, the director in the background, they have the camera right up on her, and they're like, just kind of looking the camera, like you're kind of pissed off, but you're like, maybe you're hiding something. Can you give me that? You're hiding something, but you're kind of pissed off. Like, we can't really read you. Can you give us one of those looks? And she's like, yeah, I got this. Let's see. Can I mimic her look? I'm not an actor. I'm not a trained actor. I'm not a professional like these people. I may not be able to do the look. Look, she's got the eyes. I need the glasses too. My glasses aren't as stylish as hers. And I don't have the light. I need the light. We need to put the light over here.
How can I trust her after that? The biggest problem with Susana is that I don't think she looks anything like me. If the results come back,
Testing. Look at that, taking the sound away. Now, if I was a betting man, I would almost
that I am not the father.
That he could be the father. He definitely could be the father. I don't know. What do you think? Leave your comments down below. Do you think he's the father? I almost want to say that he is the father.
I am done with her and this relationship for good.
Good for you, man. Because I don't know about her. She hasn't said a whole word this entire time. And she hasn't made a child in 21 years, is what the text on the screen says. And Maury Povich, he's about to jump in because he's a scientist.
You like her, Josephine?
No, that man, that's all. He is a scientist. This man is a doctor. This is Dr. Maury Povich right here. Man, he is healing America one DNA test at a time. Look at the look on his face. Is that the look of a man who is the most alive he's ever been? I think this man is actually probably the most well-adjusted man in America. Like he did America right. Like this guy knows. I mean, look, he's providing a service while entertaining millions. I don't think you could do anything better. He's healing these two people, and I mean, even if they're just actors, this is a great Shakespearean plot right here. We have the king and the jesters is what we have. We have the king right here, and here's the king, and he's loving it. He's like, he can't even, before Steve Jobs had the turtleneck, fucking Maury Povich was turtlenecking it up and just cashing those checks. This woman should have her own show. I mean,
No, it's not true.
Yeah. I love that.
You think they look alike?
Maury.
Look, Maury. I kind of have to agree with her.
Look, Maury. Look at
this. Look at this.
No.
Like, the people that are in these people are sick. Like, this man that's sitting behind her, like, if you were to see him out in, just normal society, you think, oh, normal looking kid with his friend. These are the people that you have to be aware of. Be very, very aware. I mean, look at the look on his eyes. But, I mean, if you were to just see him out in the street, you just think, oh, that's a normal dude. This dude will have you in his trunk before you can even order dessert. Like, he will take you, and you will be in little pieces in his trunk before you can even order dessert. And but this woman is now running. I think I saw her running the new ad division in Facebook. I think that's what this woman. She has a new starring role in the latest Hulu show called Ain't Gonna Deal with It. Called Que Mentirosa. She's now starring in a show called Que Mentirosa, and it's a variety talk show because we need more of those. And she pulls up something that someone says on Twitter on a screen behind her, and she either says Que Mentirosa or she's like Ay que bien. And that's the whole show, and she does that, and it's a 30-minute show, but since it's gotten 10 million views a show, they're about to expand it to an hour, and it's just going to be an hour of this woman, and she'll either stand up, because, I mean, look at that. Who doesn't need that in her life?
No. It's different.
It's different.
Don't look the same. Don't look the same.
Maury, he didn't even need to say anything. He's He's just
You go around with the legs.
this man. Who is this guy? That's who I'm curious. Who is this guy? Look at this guy. This is the greatest show on television.
You know that. You go around with the
Okay,
legs.
everybody, here's Chris. Chris.
Everybody, I thought he was gonna be like, everybody quiet down. Everybody keep it down in here. We're getting a little wild. Things are getting a little out of hand. No, everybody, here's Chris. Everybody.
Come on out.
Here's more fuel to the fire. Get louder, everybody. We're just getting going. And the thing about it is, once you see, like, we're seeing the first one, and I haven't seen one in a while, and I'm dissecting it, so it's pretty funny. But once you've seen a few of these, you're going to start to notice a little pattern. A little pattern, you say, and things may not be so unexpected. This guy, ooh. Ooh. Boo. Oh, his subtitle is even better. He got the best subtitle out of anyone. Chris, Ian's boyfriend. For the radio, for the audio listeners out there, I'm about to read to you. We are watching, if you're just tuning into the show, welcome to the Rick Troutner Show. This is episode 26. It's not episode 27, it's episode 26. Welcome to episode 26. And episode 26, we are watching through. We are doing a little cultural analysis here. Welcome to the cultural analysis class. And in our cultural analysis class, we're going to be taking a look at a widely regarded piece of media, a transformative piece of media that some could argue, and it is the Maury Povich show, and Provolone show, the Maury Provolone show. And the Maury Provolone show had a regular feature where they would get a man and a woman, and a child would be presented, and one side would say that the child was the biological child of the other side, of the other party, and the other party would deny it. And being that there's this disagreement, the Maury Povich took it upon itself to be a service, a member of the community, to do some community service and to provide the DNA testing, because DNA testing is very, very expensive nowadays for the average American out there living on working wages. It could be a little expensive to get a DNA test. So the Maury Povich, like many charities out there, like the Red Cross, like a lot of the the NGOs out there, the Maury Povich show has taken upon itself to deal with these disputes, because these disputes, frankly, are not being dealt with in a timely manner. So the Maury Povich and all the Maury Povich show asked in return is that you do this transaction publicly in front of not only a live audience of a couple of hundred, maybe paid actors, maybe people who paid to get tickets, or people who got free tickets, I'm not sure. Definitely people that are in the audience, and then in front of millions of people maybe during the live broadcast, and then tens of millions of people over the life of the clip, because we have to count our view right now. Maybe we're not watching it directly from the Maury Povich channel, but we are watching that content. So the lifespan of this media is probably going to have tens, if not hundreds, of millions of views being edited into meme compilations and things like that. And that's all they ask in exchange, to have this very private, personal matter that some would say, just totally disregard that. And I mean, no one's forcing these people to be on the Maury Povich channel. You know what I mean? The Maury Povich show. There should be a Maury Povich channel. I think we need more things like this. And it should be, the young Maury Poviches. So instead of like an old, wrinkly raisin that is presenting this, you can have, some young and hip Maurys, because I'm pretty sure there's some very psychotic young people that would love to be in this position, that when you have this kind of toxic situation going on, you want to, like a good ringleader in a fight, be able to, add more contentious elements to just bring the fight to kind of crescendo for max entertainment effect. And this is why I will never be as successful as someone like Maury Povich, because I don't think I could put something together that is this polished. I mean, look how polished it is. Look at the production quality here. We have this set that's built. We have the lights up here on the set. We have these Roman columns. We have this faux brick. We have, the light that's hitting him as he walks out here. We have, this background over here. We have some purple lights over here. I love it. They shake hands. Look, Maury's, he's like, hey, what's up, man? Like, he's a cool guy. I'm sure Maury Povich would be a great guy to go out and, like, have a beer with. And it wouldn't even just be some beer. You could probably go out, like, on fucking Maury's fucking yacht and, throw back some blow and, some E and, whatever kind of illicit substances Maury's got fucking going on. Who the fuck knows? This isn't verified, and I don't want, it's probably just a rumor, but I heard that Maury likes to party. Like, I could see him and all the people, all the guests from the show, the cool ones, not the lame ones, but some of the cool ones, they can come out and the party is on. There's no party like a Maury party, because a Maury party don't stop. There ain't no party like a Maury party, because a Maury party don't stop. Bump, bump, bump. Ain't no party like a Maury party, because a Maury party don't stop. Oh, yeah, so I didn't finish the subtitle. So the subtitle, at this part of the show, it seems like this is a show where our three characters. See, they make it very simple, and this is why it's so successful. To be able to just do the synopsis, because what this show is really good for is for your aunt to be able to tell you about it, to be like, oh my God, I was seeing this show. I usually don't watch it. I usually don't watch that kind of thing, but I was watching this show the other day, and it was this guy Chris and this guy Ian, and oh my God, Chris said that there's this adorable little girl, and this adorable little girl, Chris said that there's no way that he could be the father of the baby, and Ian said that he was the father of the baby, and by golly, it looked like he was the father of the baby. What's up, Mari? What's up, Mari?
Look all the way. No, look where you brought me. Look where you brought me. Hi, Mari. I'm here. Okay.
Look, this woman's smiling. Look, this woman, she's almost losing it. She's almost smiling. Like, she's having a good time.
Really?
Oh, then she's like, oh, I gotta put this. She's like, yo, Mari, this is funny. Hey, this is funny, man. This is funny. Look, he's like, this is funny, man. And she's like, hey, this is good. This is good. You're doing good. You're doing good, kid. And she's like, why are we here? And he's like, I don't know. I don't even know how I got here. And this guy's like, I'm gonna murder everyone. I'm gonna murder everyone in the studio. This guy back here with the ginger beard, he's like, I am going to murder everyone here. I don't know if he was successful in doing that, but these are the people. These are the people here.
You believe?
And that kid back there, he's like, I will clean up all the bodies. I will clean up all the bodies.
Your mother.
Because there's no way that you are you're not a sociopath if you are in the audience for a Maury Povich episode.
Over your girlfriend of 9 years. Why would my mother lie?
Why would my mother lie to me? Oh, I still haven't read the subtitle. So the subtitle under this guy's thing says his mom told him that Ian cheats, so he needs DNA proof that Susanna is his child. See, that Maury Povich, this man wouldn't have been able to get a DNA test if it wasn't for the Maury Povich show. I mean, I hope that they're 501c3 certified.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Look all the way. No, look where you brought me. Look where you brought me. Hi, Mari.
You brought me? Why? Look where you brought me. That's an interesting.
Okay. Oh, really?
Why would my mother lie to me?
Chris, you believe your mother over your girlfriend
You believe your mother
of 9 years. Why would my mother lie to me, Maury?
Why would my mother lie to me? Chris says he was not the only man Eden was sleeping with around the time she got pregnant. See, that's
your baby.
this guy's nearly laughing. This guy's nearly laughing. These actors, I don't think, are as good. This guy's about to crack. Like, this is an SNL stick.
You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. He's not his baby.
This is quality. This is quality entertainment, folks. Look at Maury. Look at Maury. Look at this guy. This guy's like, yeah, yeah.
You're lying.
This woman, see, yeah, look, he's getting it. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And then look at this sociopath behind me. Look at this man. Look at this dude. This dude's like, I will burn this place to the ground. Look at this dude. Who are all these dudes? Why are this is like a frat. Like a frat guy, they all came in a bus. This little frat came in a bus, and then now it makes sense. These are all like fucking college frat guys that all came on a bus together, you know, from the same fucking all dude school, you know, Christian school or some fucking shit. They look like dudes from an all boys school. And I guess if you're in an all boys school, you know, you gotta go to shit like Maury. You know, I don't fucking know.
You're a big liar. Be happy. No. You should be happy.
She says she was still married only because she had to protect her child.
Look at Maury. So I think that's about enough of that. I mean, you could see it. The entertainment value. I mean, I'm sure there's more surprises in there. But I wanted to go through a couple of other things. I was watching this video today, and it brought up an interesting thing. So I've seen a lot of car videos, and they've covered a lot of different topics, and there's a lot of information that overlaps. So you may see a lot of videos, but you may not learn something new, and that's not the video's fault, because for somebody it may be something new, or even just reminding you may be helpful. But there's this series of videos
Are up.
where I learned something new. You learn something new every day. And let's see, where is it? Playlist.
Think of the
The cold start cycle.
Ever notice why your engine sounds amazing first thing in the morning, like angry and bitter and pissed off? And then it just kind of goes back to normal? Want to know why? Keep watching and you'll know it all.
So I have to say, like, and they're trying to distinguish it from other car shows that really just kind of explain the information. And I mean, but I do want to shout out because I did learn something new. Like, and I mean, it's interesting how I learned shit. So I recently got the app so that you can, the OBD2 app on the phone, so you can plug in to your car and be able to see a lot of the diagnostic data. And I would see one of the variables that it gives you is the fuel flow. And I would see that when the car was cold, the fuel flow would be like 0.75 gallons per hour at idle, sitting in park at idle. And then once it warmed up, it would run at 0.38 gallons per hour at idle. And I've been watching pretty astutely the gas mileage, and I would notice definitely during the city I would get less gas mileage, but if there was more starts, and especially more cold starts, you would see the gas get used up more. So that's an interesting way of how the gas mileage, where you could be doing all city driving, but if you're doing, long commutes and you're not doing as many, it's really how many of those cold cycles, because every cold cycle uses a lot more gas than it would be, if it did the same amount of city miles in an already hot cycle. So, and this video does explain
Internal combustion engines aren't morning
why it's designed to do that.
people. They don't like to be cold. They need to be fully warm to operate properly, and that's for a number of reasons. First of all, when an engine is cold, it has a lot more internal resistance that it has to overcome. And secondly, it's not running properly to begin with. And that's because cold fuel doesn't like to atomize and burn properly. It likes to stick to all the cold surfaces on the way through. So the engine has to work harder to overcome all the friction, but it's not running right to begin with. Some older cars would idle really fast, like 2,000 RPM, just to ensure that the engine stayed running. But that's not what we're talking about. These cars go way beyond that. They're not just trying to stay running. Modern cars are trying to stay running as inefficiently as possible. They change the valve timing and the ignition timing just so it can burn that much more fuel, so it can send that much more heat down the exhaust. All of this is just to light off the cat more quickly. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Psst, psst. Obviously, I'm talking about the catalytic converter. Catalytic converters need a certain temperature in order to function properly. And ironically, the more fuel you burn when the engine is cold, the faster it lights off the cat, and overall, the less the car pollutes. Cold start is such a huge deal to passing emissions tests that some car companies don't even bother firing the injectors until the computer is absolutely certain everything is fine, because one single misfire could be enough to fail the entire emissions test. So something like a C7 Corvette cranks the engine over and over and over, and the engine computer is watching to make sure.
See, that was something new that I learned, where sometimes on startup, especially on cold startup, so those extra cranks, instead of it being, for some kind of physical reason that it's not starting, it's due to an electronic reason of the computer purposely not starting it because it's doing these extra checks. So that's interesting.
That everything is perfect, and once it is, injects fuel, lights it off. Meanwhile, you think something's wrong with the car. It's cranking and cranking, cranking and cranking, cranking and cranking, cranking. Oh, and then it fires. But that's on purpose. Hybrids do this all the time, but they do it silently because hybrids are quiet and evil like cats. Look, hybrids have a big electric motor that can spin over the gas engine, and they can do it silently. So as it's getting ready to start, it'll spin the gas engine and make sure that everything is fine before lighting it off. But then, this is the coolest part, hybrids don't even have to do that warm-up cycle, because rather than just wasting fuel with inefficient valve timing and other crap, they just put a load on the engine with that electric motor generator. That load generates electricity, which then goes into the battery, which you can then use to drive on. That's genius. Except then you got to drive a hybrid, and no one ever wants to drive a hybrid. Ever. Like, never. No. The quickest way to get your cat to light off would be to start the engine and drive off immediately. But that is never going to happen, because you get in your car, you start the engine, you put your seatbelt off immediately. Light off would be to... The quickest way to get your cat to light off would be to start the engine and drive off immediately. But that is never going to happen, because you get...
See, that's interesting. That's counterintuitive to what the prevailing knowledge is. The prevailing knowledge is to start up and, give it a minute and let everything get going and then go. But to just start it, pop it and drive and go.
Get in your car, you start the engine, you put your seatbelt on, you futz with the radio, and you text your side piece, hey baby, I'm on my way. What else is your engine gonna do other than warm itself up? But at least now, while it's warming up and it sounds all angry, you know why. In fact, you know everything about cold starts. You big know-it-all.
So, pretty interesting. That little piece of information. I want to know this one.
Shopping with Google helps you find whatever you're looking for.
It's a good little
Like workout shirts for at-home athletes.
Seen this live, and I was wondering, for the price that I got both the OBD reader and the app, some of the data could be skeptical, but knowing that that's what it's doing, it makes sense. So it could be showing.
Look, we all love bench racing, but all too often I hear that my car is 0.3 of a second quicker to 60 miles an hour and therefore will be faster than yours. And yet that's not the case. The test says it will, but the test is flawed. We human beings love to boil down unbelievably complicated things into a single data point, like horsepower, miles per gallon, or calories per serving. That doesn't work. See, if the only measure of the goodness of ice cream was calories per serving, it could be made out of horse manure and Crisco, and you'd think it's better than Ben & Jerry's. Once upon a time, someone, probably a German, thought, we could measure how long it takes to get the car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour and use this figure to sell the cars. It was an actual great idea. The problem is that even great ideas can have big problems. Obviously, 0 to 60 isn't the same thing as 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That would be 0 to 62.14 miles an hour, so don't confuse those two. Secondly, 0 to 60, as reported by US car magazines, isn't actually 0 to 60. The first foot of motion is deliberately deleted from the run. That's like using a yardstick to measure a yard, but where someone sawed off the first 3 inches of that yardstick. Why would anyone do something so stupid? Well, it's actually not that stupid if you understand where it came from. See, all of this goes back to the way timing lights work at drag strips. And timing lights and drag strips were both invented long before GPS and accelerometers. So they used something called a beam of light to measure where your car is. At any drag strip, there's a beam of light that goes across the drag strip. And when you pull your car up, your tire interrupts that beam of light. See? But the timer doesn't start counting until your tire is past the beam of light, and it has to travel about a foot before the light is visible again. That's when the timer starts. So they were worried that you would take your old jalopy to the drag strip, beat their published time by 2 or 3/10 of a second, and decide that they were idiots, which of course they were, but they were insecure idiots. So they preempted you by deleting that 1 foot of rollout and publishing all of the acceleration numbers, ignoring 1 foot of rollout, even though that's kind of ridiculous. Depending on a number of factors, that 1 foot of rollout takes 3/4 of a second, which wasn't really a big deal back when cars had 40 horsepower. But when the whole 0 to 60 run takes only 2.5 seconds, lopping off 1/3 of a second is a pretty big deal. This same insecurity also leads car magazines to do absolutely anything possible to get the best launch to 60. Trust me, you have never done anything to a rental car that's nearly as abusive as what we do to test cars all the time. It doesn't matter what it takes. Sweeping off parts of a gearbox off the test strip for an hour is worth it if we beat the other guy by 1/10 of a second. If you think car magazine guys are competitive, car manufacturers are way worse. They will do anything to get a good 0 to 60 number, including programming all the computers to recognize exactly when the car is being tested and behaving totally differently than it would ever behave in the real world. This is called chi optimization, and it's just like Dieselgate, except this time no one cares. But the point here is that 0 to 60 yardstick is so important to car companies that car companies do things just to get a better 0 to 60 number, even if it means making the car worse in the real world. Perfect case. Front engine, rear drive, powerful manual transmission cars with a 63 mile an hour first gear. Well, that was chosen to eliminate the 1 to 2 shift. Well, the car might be better on a 0 to 60 test, but it would be way faster and way more fun, by the way, if it had a shorter first gear. If you want a better indication of what a car's potential acceleration is, well, you would look at 2 factors, both the elapsed time and the trap speed down the quarter mile, but you're too lazy to do that. And besides, quarter mile doesn't take into consideration how long it takes modern turbocharged cars to react to full throttle. There is one test that addresses this, and it's the 5 to 60 rolling test that some car magazines do. It's very simple. They get the car up to exactly 5 miles an hour and slam on the gas. They have a little pressure sensor at the bottom of the gas pedals, so the timer starts exactly when they reach full throttle, and it stops when they hit 60 miles an hour. This takes that abusive launch completely out, and some really cool stuff happens here. Take, for example, a Subaru WRX STI. It will rip off a 5.3 second 0 to 60 if you redline clutch dump it, you shift like you have stock in Fuji Heavy Industries, and if you ignore that first foot of rollout. But on the 5 to 60 test, it takes 7 long seconds to get to 60 miles an hour. That means that your mom's Honda Odyssey minivan is actually quicker because it does 6.6 on both tests. Does this mean you should sell your STI and buy a Honda Odyssey minivan? No! It means you should stop caring about 0 to 60. And if you want to know if your car's faster than your mom's, well, race your mom, like I did last night. And now you know it all.